Hope everybody's enjoying the spring weather we're having.
Yeah, we're waiting for Nanook of the North to arrive tonight.
Yeah, after 70 degrees yesterday.
Every day's closer to spring is the way I look at it.
That's exactly right.
I've already got a fire started.
I was going to start mine last night, and I said, "Oh, it ain't going to get that cold." Got up this morning; it was 30 degrees.
Good morning. That was something. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
We call to order a meeting of the West Kentucky Workforce Board. Thank you all for coming. I believe we have a quorum.
Oh, shoot. What I
We have
do?
a quorum. First, I would like to welcome our newest board member, Siobhan Duncan Herring. Siobhan will be representing the Kentucky Farm Workers Program on the board. She replaces Vicki Hutchison, who retired at the end of the year. I would also like to take this time to recognize Laura Thomas of Riken and Lostimers. Laura has served on the board for many years, representing manufacturing in the Penny Royal. Even with her very busy schedule and COVID challenges, she has always made time for the West Kentucky Workforce Board. This will be Laura's last meeting with West Kentucky Workforce Board. Thank you, Laura, so much for your participation on the board, your hard work, and your work with on-the-job training activities. You and your dedication will be missed. First item is approval of a review and approval of the minutes of the meetings of November 18, 2021, January 12, 2022, and February 16, 2022. As an initial matter, are there any additions, corrections, deletions to the minutes of those meetings? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meetings aforesaid. That's a hint.
Chris Wooldridge, so moved.
Second.
Motion? We're having a little feedback here. If you make a motion or a second, if you could state your name and that you're making a motion or a second, please.
Wayne Belanger, second. I'm sorry, we're having feedback problems. We have a motion by whom? Chris, thank you very much.
I think Wayne Belanger second.
Yes.
What's going on here?
Please just screen it up. So now if it wants to draw, it's second.
Ask them if they'll put their motion in the chat, please.
I'm sorry.
Ask them if they'll put the motion in the chat so we can see it.
Okay. You put the motion in the chat.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
They'll know.
Yeah.
Okay. She put the motion in the chat. That sounds like some kind of code to me, but I'm old.
Wayne Belanger second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no.
Aye.
Hearing no nays, motion's approved. Next, we move to consideration of old business. Sissy Fox, West Kentucky Workforce Board Direct Service Provider will present the current workforce data. Sissy.
Good morning, everyone. On page 25 in your board packet, you'll find a map that shows preliminary unemployment rates by county for December 2021. And then on page 26 is the labor market snapshot detailing unemployment information. As of December 2021, the national unemployment rate was 3.7% and the state rate was 3.4%. The rate in West Kentucky was 3.4%. In our local workforce area, there were 6,129 individuals who were unemployed. Page 27 includes unemployment rates by county from December 2020 through December 2021. In our local workforce area for the month of December 2021, the unemployment rates range from 2.7% in Todd County to 4.6% in Livingston County. Unless there are questions, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Sissy? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consideration of policy and information. Julie Allen, Workforce Programs Coordinator, will present the on-the-job training contract ratification for consideration.
In your packets on page 34, you will find the OJT contract ratification. You'll see that average hourly wage is up quite a bit to $16.82. We've already had 59 contracts to date, and currently we have 12 active with quite a few pending. Tom has been contacted, and I know Molly and Marianne are working on some additional contracts as well. So, Mr. Chair, I would need an approval to ratify the current contracts.
Yes, ma'am. Does anyone have any questions for Julie before I ask for a motion? Hearing no question, Chair will entertain a motion to ratify the OJT contract as presented by Julie Allen. Motion, second? And we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. And I'm sorry, in my zeal to get through the agenda, I skipped over item B, the overview and financial information that Cindy Cummins, the financial coordinator, will present to us. Thank you.
Good morning. In your board packets on pages 28 and 29 is the West Kentucky Workforce Board Financial Report for period ending January 31st, 2022. Funds received to date are $7,362,211.52, and we have expended $2,386,534.34. We have received $1.5 million for the Kentucky Tornado NEG, and these funds are for a 2-year period. The COVID-19 NEG that we've had for a couple of years is set to expire this March the 31st. The state has requested a no-cost extension from the Department of Labor, and currently at this time we are expected to expend all the funds received. And if you notice under dislocated workers, we still have plenty of money of dislocated workers. We are only at 54% obligated. And if there's no questions, that concludes the report on the financials, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Cindy before we move on to the next topic? Hearing none, Tammy Hyde, Data Program Specialist, will give an update on the COVID-19 and can.
Wait, Cindy has a little more.
Oh, you got a little more.
The audit report.
Audit report.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sorry about that.
that's okay.
Yes. Okay. On pages 30 through 33 is the Penny-Royal Area Development District's financial audit report. Calhoun and Company, our certified public accountants, finalized the report, And we are pleased to note that all was clear on the report. I do have a copy here with me, but it is also posted on the Pennyroyal Area Development District's website, and that's PEADD.org, and it's under the Transparency tab, along with other financial information from the organization. So if there's no questions on the audit report, that concludes that report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Tammy is going to give us an update on both the COVID-19 National Emergency Grant, the Kentucky Tornado National Emergency Grant, and the program performance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The COVID grant, as Cindy stated, could be coming to a close at the end of March. Currently, we've served 73 customers through the grant. We've put about 12 into short-term training, which means they went into CDL training or some type of welding training. We've served 7 through supportive services, 39 in work experiences, and 15 in on-the-job training contracts. Of these numbers that we've served, 28 have successfully completed their training, work experience, or OJT, and they have exited. 18 of those exiting are currently employed, which gives us a 72% employment placement rate. Several of the work experience employers actually hired the customers that were placed in their facilities to assist them. They saw the need to continue to keep them on. So we were excited about that because there was no requirement for a job from them at the end of the work experience. And our OJT customers have continued to work in their jobs, and our CDL and welding customers were successful in getting jobs at the completion of their training. For the tornado grant, if you look on page 35 in your packet, you'll see the news release from the U.S. Department of Labor, where $8 million was awarded. As Cindy already stated, we received $1.5 million in our area. This is to assist individuals who have lost their job or had a reduction in wages due to the tornado disaster on December the 10th. The direct service provider, which is the Purchase Area Development District, has hired a couple of new staff to assist with worksite development and placing individuals in humanitarian aid jobs. We've already written 4 or 5 worksite agreements, and we have a few people who are getting ready to start in the next week or two. So we're getting excited about the help that we can give them. If any of you are aware of companies or agencies or cities or counties out there that are providing humanitarian aid as a result of the tornado disaster, please let us know. So we'd be glad to work with them and give any assistance that might be needed for them. And then in your packet on pages 36 and 37, we'll move along to performance. The state continues to run performance reports. We're not sure of the accuracy of the reports. Some measures we are excited about because they look good. Some measures we're still questioning because we don't know, but as long as they're making us look good, then we're okay and we can, go with that for the time being until we can get something more accurate. The credential and measurable skill gain, we know those numbers aren't accurate because we know we don't have 100% in credential rate, but we know we have a higher percent than 26 on a measurable skill gain. So the measurable skill gain and credentials should match whatever that looks like. And so we know that we're still working towards accuracy on those 2 sections. But in looking at the measures, I'll just kind of go down through and recap a couple of them for you. The adult measures, we have 92.6% of our adults who are receiving WIOA and co-enrollment services. And what co-enrollment services means is they've received services through other partnering agencies in our career center. It could be through Wagner Pizer, Kentucky Farm Worker, Voc Rehab, just different partners that might be working with us. So they've received additional services through the center. 92.6 of those individuals received a job within the second quarter after exiting our program with a median wage earning of $8,783. 85% of our dislocated workers received a job after the second quarter after exit of the program, and their median wage earning was $7,997. The youth category is a little bit different. their after exit measures are based on if they are employed or have entered post-secondary education. And 88.2% of our youth were either employed or entered post-secondary education in the second quarter after exit. And of those that were employed, the median wage earning was $4,598. Wagner-Pizer measures, those measures are more specific to customers who come in. So this could be a duplicative account, a record of our adult, dislocated worker and youth measures, but it shows of the people that we served as a cohort and as a career center in general, that 78.3% of those customers were received a job. And what Wagner-Pizer services do is help people with job search, develop their resume, prepare for interview, and those types of things. And those are also services that each partner agency in the Career Center can provide individually to our customers. And if there are no questions, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Trust no one has any questions for Tammy. Next, Sheila Clark, the West Kentucky Workforce Board Executive Director, will give an update from the Labor Cabinet.
Good morning, everyone. We're sorry for some of the sound issues this morning, and we're wondering when they may go off again. So we'll keep our fingers crossed there. One of the things that I wanted to kind of bring you up to date on and give you a view of is the fact that we haven't met since the tornadoes hit, and we've had a lot of things happen very quickly within a few months. And Tammy went over that very well and talked about performance and where we are with that. Of course, we still have COVID impacting some of our training opportunities there. And we are seeing less people wanting to come in and go to school because they're afraid of the virtual training that they may be incurring, and some issues along those lines. So our career centers have not been as busy as they have in the past. They've all now remained open and they're seeing customers, and our resource areas are full and operational, and that has been going well. I did want to mention that we have taken down the Briggs and Stratton temporary site in Murray that we had, and our relationship with Murray State University just went wonderfully for that site, and we really appreciate Murray's involvement in that and their help and the staff that they lent us at times to get everything going. And Chris, if you would, please take that back, that we couldn't have had a better partner. We had a wonderful facility, and if you remember, they provided us furniture in that and opportunities there for individuals to be served on the campus. And that worked out very well for everyone. So when that grant closed at the end of September, we closed that site. We also had the Campbell Strong Workforce Partnership Grant, and it closed at the end of December. And we had a temporary site that was just outside the front gate of Fort Campbell, a few miles down the road, and that site closed at the end of September. So we were bringing down those career center sites. And at the same time, the first part of December, the tornadoes struck. So very quickly, we relied upon every staff to do a roll and make telephone calls, and for us to try to get in place at sites with the Dawson Springs school system. And they helped us out, and they allowed us to be in their main hub of activity there. And we were able to see customers there the first week that the tornadoes hit and tried to help provide them services. And then we were able to see customers in Mayfield at the high school there. And we picked up our computers, and Mary Ann was the computer toter, I think, that week. And we got those computers that we had on hand in place for that area. And we were seeing other customers and Madisonville and Hopkinsville, and of course in Paducah. And we had a crowd of people in Paducah before the temporary site opened there in Mayfield. We have brought on new staff and working with the purchase ad that are specifically trying to contact people there and reaching out, and they'll be on the road serving work sites and customers both. And the opportunities that we've had so far, it's been difficult a lot of times to reach out to those individuals through our career centers. So we've tried to take services to them sometimes, and that's been helpful. And we'd like to thank the Labor Cabinet for jointly working with us and DCBS for jointly working with us and trying to get a temporary site in place in Mayfield. The disaster unemployment insurance opportunities, I think, have ended for people to sign up for that. And once the UI staff moved out of the site, then we moved in the site behind them. And so we are in the site with DCBS, and then John Pendergrass is sending staff over to assist there with the workforce staff. So that's our temporary activities related to the tornadoes that are going on. And we'll have that site in the area, either there or someplace else, probably for the next few months. And we have the new staff that Sissy is working with at the purchase ad and trying to get them knowledgeable and making the contacts to make those work sites. And as Tammy mentioned to you, the eligibility for someone to be served is not based upon whether they themselves were impacted at their house or home. It relates to the interruption of work for that individual. And we have some people that are saying, well, I lost my house. Why don't I get services? If they didn't lose their job or their job wasn't interrupted, then that's how their service, their eligibility for services under our grant would happen. And I know that we have some new players, Anna Larson and some other staff that I'll mention in just a minute have come into Frankfort. And of course, Anna's worked with us with adult ed for a number of years. And John is back home in Paducah and not running to Frankfort as much. So we're happy to have him back. And so we've had these changes occurring that have impact our centers. We also were contacted by adult education about coming back into the Hopkinsville Center. And Gary Dawson and I have had a conversation about that. And they want to bring some testing and some GED work back in the centers. And that's because of the leadership change. And we'll probably see some changes in both of our Hopkinsville and Paducah sites with those activities occurring. I think I quickly ran over those types of activities, and let me give a heads up to KCTCS. We asked them if they would like to make some comments. The presidents are all involved in a meeting today, but we've asked our workforce solutions staff to talk to us about the activities that they're seeing out there and their return for this semester. And we've asked them a little bit about their virtual learning process. So I'll ask the three of them, whoever would like to go first, to start just making a few comments to us about that. And if you all have any questions as we move forward, just raise your hand and we'll try to catch you there.
Sheila, I'll be happy to.
Out there.
Okay, I'll be happy to go first, Sheila. This is Kevin O'Neill from West Kentucky. Sheila sent an email with some great talking points that I want to include in my comments, and I think they're very timely for sure. What she was wanting to know, well, a couple of things are our spring enrollment right now compared to 2021. We're right on track and might even eclipse that by a small amount, which is good considering all things COVID as well as the tornado. We had 80 Graves County students affected by the tornado. So they have lost a lot of things, computers, internet access, transportation, you name it. So that number is really, we're happy with that number. It's not the same as what it would be back in 2020, but nonetheless, we're gonna see probably a slight increase over 21. The student mixture, there are a lot now that are taking online courses. There are many that are taking what you would consider a hybrid course, which is in class as well as online. That's very popular now. And when we had to pivot in 20, we did that pivot in about 24 hours. And I know our sister colleges had to do the same thing. So it was something I think that was coming anyway, but we just had to dive in the deep end of the pool, which is okay because now we have, faculty that have completed extensive coursework in development and best practices for that. So it's been really, really good. It was a quick and feverish thing, but we did very well with it. It looks like some students have changed their majors because of the pandemic. Especially, it seems like it's in the healthcare field. We're seeing some changing where they've chosen to go that route. We've had some that have just stopped their course of study. Again, it's just everything to do with the pandemic and work and families, and so there's a lot of factors that have gone into that. There are many that the awareness in logistics and computer information technologies is stronger. So, that's one that they can pursue. And those are things that a lot of it can be done online. So that's a good program. Our construction technology program is another one that's growing. And with the December tornadoes, there's areas increased employment for those. And we're working really hard to get certificates that can qualify for that funding for those that have lost their employment or were affected like they were with that funding. I think the same sort of funding, Sheila, that came about when the COVID first hit and people lost their jobs. So we're working on that and to get those certified programs up and on the list, approved state list. So that's what's happening in West Kentucky. Any questions on that? I'd turn over to my comrade Carol again, looks like.
I'm happy to go next. I always like Kevin to go first. Well, good morning, everyone. Just want to share a little bit along the same lines of answering some of those prompts that Sheila sent to us yesterday. Our enrollment here in Hopkinsville is unfortunately still lagging behind our pre-COVID numbers. Of course, there are a lot of factors that play into that. We here in Hopkinsville are greatly impacted by Fort Campbell. Our enrollment at Fort Campbell is shrinking pretty quickly, and that's used to represent a full third of our enrollment. So that's a significant hit for us, and that we're always worried about how things halfway around the world will impact us here in Hopkinsville. We do have plans for expanding our dual credit opportunities, and we have very strong enrollment goals for the fall. So we're certainly not giving up, not taking our foot off the pedal. Have a very detailed plan for enrollment activities. So we're working on all that. We are finding that our students do prefer the hybrid classes over coming back to campus, even though we're offering many opportunities for them to be on campus. They prefer either all online or a hybrid combination, especially the students who are coming right out of high school, which makes sense because they've been doing so much of their work online. They're more comfortable with that. And it's interesting here in Hopkinsville, we're noticing that students are thinking twice about going into healthcare fields, especially in the nursing, whereas we used to have a waiting list for students to get into our nursing program. Now we have a hard time filling the spots. So there's definitely a need for that. And I think that people are just thinking twice about going into healthcare at this time, which is understandable. We have added we're in the process of adding 3 new programs. We're adding 3D printing, telehealth associate, and air conditioning. So we're excited about that, and hopefully that will help us reach more people and provide more opportunities. And that's all I had. I don't know if Mike is here or not, but he can talk about Madisonville.
I am here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. The enrollment pretty much follows suit. We are showing an increase. I think it's because COVID is calming down a little bit. We are ahead of schedule as far as where we were this time last year. Not by much, maybe somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 students, but we're right in the middle of the census. So that doesn't actually close out till March 30th. So that could either be good for us or it may come to haunt us if we don't get more students in the second by term. But we're hoping that it holds. As far as students liking online versus in-house, what I call butts and seats, it's kind of a cross mix. A lot of students who never really thought about going to school, when they found out that just about everything we offered here at Madisonville Community College was either online or hybrid, I think we actually recruited some of those who never thought about coming. And then now here they are, and we're hoping that they will continue on, even though we don't have all of those classes online again. Some of them have gone back to actually meeting in person. So that might have hurt some of those students that kind of enjoyed being online, but it was really the only way we could do it with COVID. And so we're trying to keep that balance of what we can continue on as online classes. We have some new programs and some existing programs that we're expanding. We're expanding our lineman program. We're actually moving that to another site in Webster County. That will enable us to be able to go from 16 students in a class to 30, and maybe even beyond that if need, because that is quite a large site and it's got a lot of room for us there. We're expanding our CDL program. We're obviously going to keep the one here in Hopkins County for surrounding counties here, but we're also moving that to that same site. We're actually getting another completely different, it's an additional CDL program there. That's to help us with, we're in partnership with that program with Henderson. So we're hoping to connect up with the counties north of Webster County as well. New programs that we have that have been approved that will start in the fall of this year in August is diesel mechanic. That will be at the new site. We have 5 high schools that have will be receiving dual credit for that program. That's a program that's in that area due to the farming and need for diesel mechanics in the agriculture type of work. We've got quite a few schools that are interested in that program. Also, been approved to start in the fall is our aviation mechanics program. Of course, we've got the bi-wing aviation program and the helicopter program, and both those programs as a add-on to those to support that is aviation mechanics. So that will be starting in the fall as well. A program that we started last fall that's doing very well is our fermentation program. That was a program that was, it's being run by one of our AIT faculty members who brewed a lot of beer when he was in college. And so as a result of that, he thought that would be a good program. We wrote a grant for it. And that's exactly what we're doing, because there are a lot of breweries in the area that need help. They're looking at apprenticeships with that program, and he's doing quite well with it. It's a small program as far as enrollment goes, but not a lot of breweries need a lot of help. You know, if they get 2 or 3 people out of that program, the life of that brewery, that's about all they need, unless it really expands. So I think he's got about 6 or 7 in the program, and it's doing quite well. I have volunteered my time to be on the quality control team that makes sure that that program is being running right, and I appreciate that opportunity. One of our best programs that we started about almost 2 years ago is called MCC Accelerate. And the only reason I'm bringing it up now is because it's kind of strange that we started when we did, and then COVID hit. And as a result of it, it's worked out pretty well. MCC Accelerate is a program where we only concentrate on 3 different programs. One is business administration, another one is health science technology, and the third one is computer information technology. And the students can sign up for any one of these programs. They will come to school 1 night a week for 8 weeks and get 1 class. And then the next bi-term, they'll sign up for another class. And they will only come 1 night a week for 2 years, and they can receive an associate's degree in any one of those 3 programs. We have as many as 20 in the program at one time, but I think it averages around 15, and it's a very successful program. A lot of people are now coming back to school that never thought they could get a degree because of work, and who don't like to necessarily be online. Some of this is online, but they actually can meet 1 night a week in classes that are held on campus and get their degree. So with that, unless anybody has any questions, that's what I wanted to share with you. And I appreciate the opportunity, Sheila. Thank you.
I have a question. On your aircraft mechanic, is that an A&P program?
You know, I don't know. What's A&P stand for? And I'll tell you maybe.
Airframe and power plant. It's a license you have to work on private or commercial airline.
I would say it is.
Okay.
Everything that we've done for that program has to come through the Federal Aviation qualification. So I would say it is.
Okay, that's a good program. Good.
Other questions? I thought we needed to include the colleges in our Career Center update because, you know, we are sending people and we're trying to up that, and we're making a special effort now. Sissy and her staff have just left Murray and trying to assist people who had tornado impacts. And we'll look at coming to our other community colleges out there and seeing if we can help some people with that. They may not be eligible as an individual whose work was impacted by the tornado, but they may have other impacts that would make them allowable for us to help them with their financial deficiencies there. So we're going to try to spend a little more time working on that in the near future. If you all think of other questions, you can place them in the chat or send them to those individuals that are on our screens today. But we really appreciate your help with that. And all of our partners have been through a really trying time, and they've all stuck in there and developed their own opportunity to assist individuals. I know that, you know, we're doing it with Sissy's staff and each one of them having a cell phone, and we'll have new numbers out shortly for the new staff that she's brought on to assist with the tornado grant that's out there. And so you'll be hearing more about that in the near future too. Other questions for me before I relinquish it back to the chair? If not, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Is there any other old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to consideration of new business. First, George Radford, our Youth Committee Chair, will give an update on the recent Youth Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to everyone. The West Kentucky Workforce Board Youth Committee met on February 16th via Zoom to review the draft request for proposal to provide Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act comprehensive youth services. That was a really good meeting. We presented a tentative time schedule to make sure that everybody knew what was expected and following the schedule. The committee discussed different opportunities to provide youth services. The committee reviewed the WIOA youth performance measures, the provider's current performance, and the provider's current expenditures levels, and the funding requirements in that law. And that discussion went really well. There was a discussion of the WIOA guidance and local policies to encourage additional work experience opportunities, to support new regional training opportunities, as well as encourage more innovation for youth programming and work-ready programming in Western Kentucky. The committee shared best practices from last year, and there was much discussion with that. And we feel like that everyone was on the same page, had a good understanding of what we were expecting and what was expected of those presenting the proposal. The draft 2022 and 2023 youth RFP includes an emphasis on out-of-school youth, career path, high demand sectors, and work-based learning for youth under WIOA. And following the comprehensive review and discussion, the youth committee voted to recommend the release of the RFP as discussed. And at this time, Chair, as chairman of the youth committee, I move to recommend the release of the RFP as presented.
We just need a second. He made the motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay? No nays, motion passes. You've already done the Career Centers update. Sheila's already talked to us about the Career Centers update, which is item C. But she will give us an update on Frankfurt and legislation.
Okay, everyone, I'll give you another update referring to some of the legislation that you might be seeing out there that looks at molding the two cabinets of labor and education and workforce development into one. We've had the wonderful opportunity to have Secretary Link be a part of our WIOA directors meetings, and he did come down and visit us the early part of December. Unfortunately, he didn't stay long enough to have the tornado experience with us. And he cut his trip short because he was trying to not only see our area, but Green River and Bowling Green as well. So he was here just a portion of the amount of time that we expected him to be able to be with us. But we had a good meeting that extended into that evening from the afternoon that he was here. We talked about some of the issues we have with our career center, the challenges with COVID. And of course, at that time, we hadn't had the tornado, so we weren't able to talk about our needs with that. But we did have other staff from the cabinet that came down and visited with us and took a tour about a month after the tornado had hit. And we appreciate their being with us. In your package, you do have a copy of Senate Bill 180. And that Senate bill, that gives us the overview of the two cabinets being molded into one and some of the highlights of that consolidation of those cabinets. There's also a bill that was just filed today, and that was Senate Bill 207. And that relates to the collaborative group that you heard us refer to a few months ago about planning their meeting in Frankfurt and the committees that would fall under that group. And that is what was filed today. I don't have a copy of it because we just received it this morning. I didn't put it in the packet as we were already finished with this meeting for that packet. I did want to give you another comment or two about some of the updates that we have. Each month, Secretary Link is taking time to meet with the WIOA directors and their staff. We feel like that's been a great opportunity for us to share with him what we're facing in the local areas and the challenges and successes that we're having out there. At the last month meeting that we had, he brought some changes to our attention. He told us that the current commissioner, Marty Hammonds, would be moving on to the secretary's office, and he would be replaced by Dr. Kish Price, who comes to us from Louisville as the commissioner. We also have a new chief of staff who's an attorney, Sam Flynn, that would be coming over from the labor cabinet. And then Anna Larson, who is with us today. She's been our workforce board representative for adult basic education activities across the state. And she is moving in to be the executive director of CDO activities. And so, and I guess this will be the last day that you'll be with us in one position, but I'm sure you'll be joining us as a guest several times in the future. So we've known Anna for many years and her actions there and the different roles that she's played with the state. So we really appreciate that. And we also received word this morning that the governor would be joining the WIO directors in their March meeting. And so stay tuned, executive committee, for more information about that. And that would be a focus on some of the consolidation and then the workforce needs that we have across the state. And George Radford, I really want to thank you for your effort with that committee. You'll saw in the packet kind of our timeline on that. And of course, the big actions will be the staff reviews of that and then bringing that back to the review committee in April. And we'll get that date out and we'll be calling on some of you all that have served on that committee in the past and then bringing some new people into it. So if you're a business representative and you have a special interest in youth, then let me know and we'll try to accommodate that interest. I think I've covered all the main topics there. And if you have questions, I'll pause a moment for those. Okay. I did want to mention, Laura Thomas, thank you so much for all your help. I was talking about Anna's change and I should also have talked about that, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila. Next is the report from the business services team. And it looks like Mr. Scholler is chomping at the bit to get on with it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to the West Kentucky Workforce Board. Couple updates I want to bring to your attention in my region, in the especially the three-county area, Christian, Trigg, and Todd, the Southwest Economic Development activity that we've been involved in as far as providing labor market information and answering questions. Carter and his team has had several site visits in the past few days, of which we have been included with those, and we appreciate that very much, where we can get information out to the companies that are looking to locate in this area. And hopefully it'll be fruitful information, but we appreciate the opportunity to work with economic development and with the prospective companies looking to come into the area, and then companies that are looking to expand in our area. There are several that are looking at doing that. Along those lines, I'm working with Carter and his group. We're putting together a couple of job fairs, and these are unique job fairs, different from what we've done here in the past several months. There are two job fairs that will be aimed at seniors in high school. The first one will be March 26th. It'll be in Trigg County. We're putting together information in conjunction with Beth Sumner and the Katy Trigg County Chamber of Commerce. We're looking forward to participating in that job fair. It'll be mainly aimed at the juniors and seniors at Trigg County High, and for them to look at what opportunities are available for them to go straight into the workforce after they graduate, or if they're a junior and not graduating, what may be available for them for summer occupations, such as maybe the parks or recreational areas or hospitality and so on and so forth in that area. And then also it'll be opened up later on that afternoon to local businesses and industries that are looking to recruit full-time employees for the general public to come in. And also 2 days later on the 28th, there will be a regional one held in Hopkinsville. The site is yet to be determined. We've looked at a couple of places, went out yesterday and visited one, but with Tony Prim with Southwest Economic Development, we're partnering with them and doing one for the 3 county high schools, Christian, Trigg, and Todd, seniors only, and for them to come out and visit with businesses and industries that have jobs available for them, full-time positions. These individuals will be coming about 2 weeks prior to their graduation date. It's going to be an opportunity for them to learn what's available for them to go straight into the workforce if they're not going on to college or to military or whatever. And the individuals coming to this will be basically individuals that will be directed to come to this event who are wanting to go into the workforce immediately upon graduation. It's an opportunity for them to put together a resume if they don't have one, and visit with businesses and industries and HR managers and find out what's available and what they need to do in the next couple of weeks prior to going to the workforce. Along those lines, companies are recruiting in several different ways in this area. They're doing job fairs at their locations. They're having them off-site at various locations all over this region. I heard of one just yesterday using a complex in town, and they're offering free barbecue sandwiches to people that come and apply for jobs. So the recruiting process among industry and manufacturing, especially in this region, is really ramping up and is getting very interesting. Also, I've heard from a couple of companies. One has relaxed their drug policies a little as far as their drug screening, and a couple more that are thinking about that. So that shows you the crunch and demonstrates to you the numbers that are needed to go to work and what they're thinking about doing and reallocating their thinking and resources and requirements as far as hiring individuals. On the job training continues to increase in my area. I have lots of interest. A couple of companies have reached out to me that have not used the program in the past or have not used it lately in particular, and we're negotiating contracts with them to get them up to speed. And last but not least, we had a business services team meeting a couple of weeks ago where all the partners came together and shared what's going on in their respective areas. A lot of good information was shared, and I appreciate their being on the call, and we'll put another one together in the next few weeks. Subject to any questions, that's all I have, and I'll relinquish the floor to either Molly or Mary Ann. I'll let one of you take it away.
Thank you.
Marian, I'll go ahead and go if that's okay. I wanted to talk about a few events that have been going on in the counties that I serve. Muhlenberg County's job fair was yesterday from 10 to 3 at the Central City Convention Center. We carried on despite the terrible weather. We had 28 employers present, and 17 of those were second chance employers. So I thought that was very interesting. We had a lower turnout than expected, of course, due to the rain and the storms. But the 50 folks who showed up were very passionate about finding employment. Some even stayed after the event was over to complete applications and interviews. So I'll be sending out a survey to the employers in the next few weeks to determine how many individuals were actually hired on as a result of the job fair. I want to thank Karen Robinson at the Muhlenberg Alliance for Progress for partnering with us on this event and all of her hard work, and the Central City Convention Center for providing the facility. One thing that I was noticing and talking to the job seekers yesterday was that many of them had backgrounds that were preventing them from finding employment. So luckily I was able to provide them information about an upcoming expungement event that we're actually hosting in Madisonville on April 26th. So we've already booked the Ballard Convention Center for this, and I'm working with Karen Wallace, the Reentry Council, our local economic development staff, and the county attorney's office to coordinate this event. We've had a lot of people coming into JobNet with backgrounds looking for work. And I know that many of you have heard that Tyson Foods recently laid off 200 people. Many of them have backgrounds, as Tyson was a big second chance employer in our area. So I'm hoping that this will help folks get back to work and in positions that they really love. Another project that I'm working on is an employer campus. We are inviting some employers from Hopkins and Muhlenberg County to attend. That's happening on March 9th. And Ben Stennett, who is our contact for the college, has indicated an interest in doing this with other communities. We're just going to be the guinea pig and start it out on a very small scale. We have 6 employers attending that day, and they're going to be able to connect with about 50 engineering students and provide them information on internships or hiring opportunities at each of their facilities. So we're excited about that. Back in October, we had an Exploration Expo event at the Hopkins County Career and Tech Center. And this particular event was designed to provide the students an interactive, in-depth look at some of the trade and healthcare jobs in our area. So the principal of the Hopkins County CTC recently contacted me, has requested that we do another event soon. So I'm getting to work on that. I'm also contacting the local high schools and arranging similar events at their facilities as well. I think it's really important to start connecting students to a wide variety of career options. And I'm thrilled that our local school systems see that and are on board. I wanted to do a quick shout out. One of our Madisonville employers, Webster Store, is having an on-site interview and walk-in event at Madisonville Community College on March 4th from 9 to 7. These are great paying positions starting out at $17 an hour. So that's really exciting. Thank you, Mike Davenport, for inviting me to participate in that event. I hope it goes well. And then, as always, we are working the Fort Campbell angle and providing employers opportunities to showcase their positions on post, while also encouraging transitioning soldiers and their spouses to locate in our Kentucky communities. So if you all ever need a point of contact for Fort Campbell or know of an employer who would like to participate in their on post events, just let Tom, Marianne, and I know, and we will help facilitate that. And that's all I had. If there's no questions, I will let Marianne take the floor.
Thank you, Molly. Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you, even if it's in a little square box here on my computer. As you've already heard this morning, we've all been really involved with the recovery and relief efforts associated with December's tornado. We've each done whatever we could to serve our communities. And as you know, the tornado literally went through the heart of our service area. From Fulton County to Muhlenberg County, it left a wide path of destruction, and each community was scarred in a different way. In my region, obviously Mayfield and Benton, as well as Fulton County and Hickman County, each were affected. The night of the tornado, Sheila and I were talking and texting through the night as we watched the storms progress across the footprint. One of the great things about Sheila Clark is the fact that Sheila is a phenomenal coach. She has watched enough UK great coaches over the years that she knows exactly how to move her team. And we all move up and down the court doing whatever we need to do. And it is fascinating to experience that, because she's always in there with us and encouraging us. And it's an incredible experience. But when these things happen, we've gone through enough disasters. We each know what's going to happen. The disaster occurs. We fight to get a national dislocated worker grant if there's FEMA involved. And then we also know we're going to start looking for work sites and start looking for ways to be able to serve those communities. And in this situation, neither Dawson Springs or Mayfield had a career center that citizens could go to. And we knew the struggle with so many citizens losing cars, and that we needed to have resource centers as close to them as possible. So she encouraged us to do this. And as soon as Graves County High School had power, we opened a resource center. John and his staff jumped in with us, and we started serving those dislocated workers. We were at the high school over the course of about 10 days with heading into Christmas and right after Christmas while school was out. It was a phenomenal experience. We got in there and we started serving them, and the staff from Frankfort joined us from the Kentucky office for employment insurance. And in Mayfield, at least, in those days, we had over 500 people sign in. Now, sometimes we had people sign in with us every day because they couldn't understand unemployment insurance. They couldn't understand, or they needed a different piece of documentation, or it was something. We helped every one of those folks with whatever need they had. But the opportunity for them to be able to file in their local community was crucial, especially when so many of them actually didn't qualify for traditional unemployment insurance. There are certain things you have to meet in order to qualify for UI. And so many of the individuals, especially at the candle plant, were seasonal workers and had not been employed at the facility for 12 weeks. They didn't qualify for traditional UI, but they did qualify for disaster unemployment assistance, which was a different funding stream. So first they had to be denied for UI, and then they had to do this other part. I watched it all. I didn't touch any of it because I don't understand UI, but I learned a lot about UI during those days. So I want to thank Sissy and her staff for jumping in with us, John and his staff. There were many nights John Pendergrass and I walked out of that high school 6, 7 o'clock, whatever it took. We did not leave, even though the center closed at 3 o'clock. So the school district's staff could go in and clean the facility. We didn't leave. If there was someone there, we continued to help them. We never acted like the fact that we were tired too. We served those people. And I just truly, truly appreciate them in their help. It was incredible. We had a lot of individuals who were Spanish speaking, so we were able to have staff that were bilingual. It was incredible. Most importantly with that, I just really want to also give a little shout out to Mr. Matt Madding and Abby Morris with Graves County Schools and the high school, they opened their doors. They turned off their internet security Wi-Fi. They did whatever we needed them to do. And they fed us. They supported us in the middle of using their facility as storage and accepting donations and trying to get their kids, and they went over and above. And I just want this board to know that I'm sure Dawson Springs did the same. These partners, these relationships we have with our school districts are so important. And the flexibility that we have as a workforce board to call a partner and say, I need your school, can you help me? And they say yes is incredible. Like Tom, in the purchase, we've been really busy with economic development activities in the last few months. Many of those activities are associated with the Ford locations outside of Memphis, outside of Louisville, as their vendors or potential vendors or companies are looking for places that they can land. The philosophy for that particular site is that Ford wants their first tier vendors right there with them on their campuses. But those second and third tier vendors can't necessarily compete with the wages that Ford will be paying. So they're looking for locations outside. And here in the workforce board area in our 17 counties, we are primed for locations because we're between the two sites. We're right in the middle. So our economic development corporations are very excited about this. And we've been really busy with that type of thing. The other thing that we've been busy with is reshoring of manufacturing that have been associated with supply chain. I've participated in several site selecting meetings about supply chain issues, particularly back earlier in the fall. So hopefully some of those things will come through. Following my coming back to my usual job and not dealing with moving computers or setting up chairs or whatever it took, dealing with the tornado, I've been really busy with our local employers, many of which are looking at raising their rates. A lot of our companies are dealing with worker shortages, as we all know, and they're trying to figure out what it takes to be competitive and how they can address this, and to understand the fact that in the purchase region anyway, a lot of our manufacturing wages are below average. So we've seen a lot of wages go up here in the last few weeks. We've had one manufacturer I've worked with for the past 2 years. They've actually raised their rate by $3 an hour. That is huge for that company to be able to make that kind of commitment in raising their wages. And we're going to see others join that opportunity. But I've also been involved in helping local companies with their recruitment. If you follow our Facebook page at all, you're going to see where those job fairs or where the various activities and the success stories are placed. But you're also going to see a lot of ads for recruitment and how we're involved with mom and pop stores who are trying to find someone who can fill their positions, or as well as large manufacturing. And I'd like to end my report with an activity that we're doing right here in Murray. Mr. Mark Manning, who is a member of our board, and I looked, and I don't believe, is Mark on here with us today? And went off. Okay. All right. Well, he asked me to share this information, and I was going to anyway, but I think it's a really good idea. For the past few years, our community in Murray here, like every other community, has, well, if you needed a plumber, you couldn't get one for 2 or 3 days. It's hard to find a plumber these days. And what he has done with some of our plumbing companies here is he has started incumbent worker training, where the Economic Development Corporation is supporting those employers to be able to offer plumber helper certificates. They've offered the class in the evenings at the Area Technology Center. And those individuals, a lot of times there are individuals who are working or want to go to work at a Steel and Arbritton or one of the other companies. but they can't get higher because they don't have a certificate, or they need to get into that apprenticeship program. So they had their first class last year, and the 10 individuals, they all passed and got their certificate and started their journeyman journey path. And as Mark said, the night that they graduated from their class, that he said that they were more proud than students who walk across the stage at Murray State. So this is something that they are continuing to do, where they're offering a class this spring in plumbing, and they've added an electrical helper certificate as well. Those classes are now full of individuals who are already employed. They're trying to make it simple. Kevin O'Neill and I have talked a lot with them about incumbent worker training opportunities through Kentucky Trains or on-the-job training, but they want to keep it very simple for right now and just test the concept. And so they're rolling out these classes, but I think in the fall, we'll start seeing an expansion to some of our other areas. Some of our other economic development corporations are very interested in this type of work and how the Murray Economic Development Corporation is helping employers pay for it. In Mark's view, it's not expensive, but it sure makes a huge difference in a community. So hopefully by the time we meet next, I'll be able to share some pictures or something on my screen or in person of these individuals who are going in this class and helping. And it's so important. And I'm just going to wrap this up with the fact that in Fulton County, they have one electrician. In Hickman County, they have one plumber. Both of those individuals got hit by the tornado, and it has caused a real problem for them. So they're really looking at how they can either join Mark's effort or replicate it in their own community. So each one of our communities need plumbers and electricians and welders and all these things. And coming up with this type of opportunity is just a great way to be able to address those needs. So does anyone have any questions? If not, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Tom, Molly, and Mary Ann. Does anyone have any questions for any of them? If not, we'll move on to the consideration of other new business. The workforce calendar is in the back of your packet, pretty much self-explanatory. If you have any questions about anything on there, feel free to bring it up now or contact Sheila sometime in the future. No questions on that. Is there any other new business? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. There will be another meeting sometime in late April. Now the motion. You people can't want to stay on this thing.
George Redford, I move the meeting be adjourned.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so very much, and for everyone who presented, and Laura too. Thank you very much for your service.